beef ragu or bolognese sauce. Obviously I'm making a hell of a lot here, but it's great, it's handy for just putting it in the freezer in small tubs, and then you only have to pull it out the day that you need it. Just saves time later on. So I've got 2 packs of beef mince, a pack of pork mince, some of the pancetta, and then all the veg that I've got. So there's the carrots, the leeks, the celery. So the carrots, the celery, the onion, and all the garlic in there. And what I'll be doing in that is I will be blending it in the blender to a bit of a paste. 6 tins of tomatoes, some Worcester sauce, some tomato puree, red wine, thyme, oregano, 2 beef oxo cubes, some sugar, some pepper. So the first thing we will do, I've got a big pot on the heat. I don't think it's going to quite be big enough, so I'll probably split between the 2 once I've got all the beef fried off, and I'll cook it in between the 2 pots. So the first thing is we'll get the veg. We'll get the veg. So about half of it in there. You'll need a nice little pinch of salt, and that'll just help break everything down in there. So just whack that on. So that's kind of what you're looking for. Basically all this is doing is saving you the time of chopping it all up by hand. If you haven't got a blender, then yeah, chop it up by hand. The other benefit of this, especially if you've got kids, is it hides all of that. So you know when it's cooked, they won't be seeing lumps of onion and carrots and whatever in there. So it makes it a bit more appealing to little children. Just keep that in there. We'll get the second batch on. So again, another pinch of salt. You can add a little bit of oil. Sometimes that helps as well. So just get that on. I've got my pan heating up here, getting really hot. So that's what you're looking for. There's a bit of texture to it, but it's still small. It's smaller than most people could chop it up anyway, and hell of a lot quicker. So now this is red hot. We are going to start frying our beef. So for those of you who saw the cottage pie, the shepherd's pie, same process. You want to get some nice colour on your beef, so we'll just put a bit of oil in there. That's really smoking hot. Just we'll just do 1 pack at a time. Try not to move it around too much. Again, I've got a colander sitting over a little pot there, so I'll put the beef in there as it's frying. Nice colour on there. Gently start breaking it down. Keep the heat right up. You get all your mince browned off, and then put it in here, and then we'll follow with the pork and the bacon, or the pancetta, whatever. While your mince is browning, so I just filled 1 can up with water, emptied all the cans into a bowl, 1 can up with about 2/3 of the way full, and just work your way through, swilling each can out, just so you're not losing all that tomato juice. One of the biggest mistakes people make when they're making bolognese is they kind of think that it's a fast food, and they fry it off, cook it for 20 minutes or so, and then eat it. You really need to treat it as a braise and like a slow cooking, almost like a stew. The more you cook it, the slower you cook it, the more flavour that's going to develop. The more kind of the meat will go nice and tender, it'll all kind of break down into the sauce. So I'm going to cook this for about 3 hours once it's gone on, just really slowly. So what I'd normally do, get it on. That's why I make such a big batch, because once it's made, you don't have to pull it out of the freezer, bring it up, cook some pasta, done. So normally I do this, pop it on in the morning and just leave it ticking away on the stove all day. So that's kind of one of the big differences between a good bolognese and a bad one, is the length of time that people cook it for. So in here, you can just get this bowl ready. That's going to be after your red wine. So you could just crumble your stock cubes in there. We'll put about a teaspoon of thyme, dried thyme, or fresh is even better. We'll do the same in oregano. We will put in a good kind of 2 tablespoons of Worcester sauce, 2 tablespoons of sugar. I'm going to balance that with some balsamic vinegar as well. And then the bay leaves can go in with the veg, which we'll be frying after the beef. So you can kind of get all this ready as your beef's frying. Just save your time later on. And then that's everything. We put a bit of probably about the same amount of balsamic vinegar as you put in Worcester sauce, so about 2 tablespoons of balsamic. That's all the beef done. Just got the pork left to fry off. So that's everything in there. I've put a real good grind of black pepper in there as well. So the Worcester sauce, the balsamic, the thyme, oregano, sugar, stock cubes are all in there. You can just kind of break away at the tomatoes as well if you want. So once the pork's fried off in the bacon, we'll get that in there now. Same process. Same process. You want to get a bit of colour on everything, get the bacon nice and crispy, get the pork nice and crispy. Keep frying that down. Then put that in there, and then we'll fry this. So this is kind of what the Italians would call this a sofrito. So it's basically like a base to their sauces. It could be just onion and garlic. It could be onion, garlic, celery. So basically, it's like a blitzed paste, almost similar to like a curry paste or something. And we'll just fry that in olive oil for a good 10 minutes or so. Then we'll add the meat back into it. Then we'll add the tomato puree, add the red wine, reduce that down, and then add all of this, and then just let it cook. So it's good to kind of get organised. You can kind of clean down as you go in then, and then once it's all in the pot and cooking away, that's all the meat fried off. And then I've just taken some of the fat, the oil and the fat from underneath the colander. Get that nice and hot again, and we'll just tip that in there. You want that to fry, you don't want that to be boiling. So again, just don't move it around too much for the first minute or two. Let the temperature stay up. And we'll just cook this. Once it's kind of started to fry, we'll turn the heat down a little bit. You just want to slowly sweat this off for a good 10 minutes. Just keep scraping the bottom. You don't want it to burn. Just keep that going for what you'll find is the oil. You'll probably get some water come out of it. That'll evaporate, and then it'll start frying again. So just keep it going for at least 10 minutes. That's had about 10 minutes. You can see it's shrunk down a good bit. It's frying away nicely. You might see little lumps of carrot and stuff in there. Don't worry, they'll cook down as it cooks. So. Once you've kind of fried it for that amount of time and all the water's come out of it, just give it a couple of minutes, and then get your meat back in. Just give that a mix, and as you can see, my pan's starting to fill up a bit now. give that a good stir, and then we'll go in with probably about 2 tablespoons of tomato puree. Ellie's feeling better. We'll give that a good mix in. Ideally you want to be frying that tomato puree, cooking that out a little bit first as well. So just give that another minute or 2 just to fry off. So that tomato paste has had a bit of a fry. Just keep scratching the bottom because it will start sticking. And then we're going to go in with the red wine. And you want to boil all this right down till it all evaporates. That burns off the alcohol, so you don't have the kind of raw alcohol taste. So all that wine's kind of evaporated now. And at this stage, those of you who have followed this recipe might be having the same problem, but that is not going to all fit in there. If you've halved the recipe or whatever, you'll be fine, but I'm just going to take a couple of ladles, make sure I get a bay leaf or 2 in there as well. A couple of ladles in there. And I'll just so most of it in there. And the important thing is at the end, you'll probably notice it's shrunk down a good bit, but just try and mix the whole lot back together so so that if there might not be enough vinegar in that bit, but collectively when you mix it together it should kind of balance out. So if you do have a big bowl or something, you can mix it in at the end, or just kind of keep changing, swapping ladles through just to kind of try and mix it together. Ideally I'd have a bigger pot for all this, but you will find it will shrink down a bit when it cooks, and you might be able to fit this back into there, or vice versa. So I'll just put another drop of water, just swill this out. Another drop of water in both of them. And then basically what we're going to do now is bring it to the boil, put a lid on, and put it right down to a really low heat, and just cook them out. What you could do is if you've got a lovely casserole dish like this, just put it in a real low oven, about 130, 140 for a few hours. If you've got a slow cooker, you could tip that into a slow cooker now and just leave it on all day if you're going to work, or if you're going to whatever you're doing for the day. If you want to stick it on in the morning, put it in a slow cooker. But yeah, now time is what's good. If you taste that now, if you taste that in an hour's time, 2 hours time, you'll notice it's just getting deeper and deeper and richer the more time it has to cook. And also, these are going to be quite chewy now, the bits of mince, whereas they'll just kind of break right down, and the bacon will dissolve into it. It'll all just end up really kind of unctuous and rich. So yeah, I think by the time they're both cooked, that probably will just about fit in there enough for me to be able to mix the two together, because they will probably taste a little bit different at this stage. Or most of the OXO cube could be in here and not in there, so that's important. Just put a little heat up on that. So yeah, bring it up to temp, and then just turn it right down, lid on, and about minimum two really you want, but 3 slowest. You barely want any. By the time it's come up to the boil, you barely want any. That's kind of all you want. It's just a tiny little simmer, and just make sure it's not catching on the bottom. Just give it a stir every now and again. I've actually put it into the oven. It just saves you having to stir it all the time. So it's about 140, and you can just leave it in there. You better check on it every now and again, but you shouldn't really need to stir it as much as having the heat underneath. So I know you're kind of laughing at me for the amount I'm making, but in these times with the whole going to the shops and everything that's going on, it's probably not a bad idea to make such a big batch. It just saves you having to keep going to the shops if you've got food in the freezer. When you are buying mince, buy that bit extra. Make your bolognese or make your shepherd's pie and freeze your batches. It just means that you might not need to go to the shop next week, or if you kind of have more you've got stocked up in your freezer, the better. And he's crying. So yeah, leave that in there 2 hours, 3 hours, and we'll go back to it then. So that's had its 3 hours. As you can see, it's kind of thickened up, shrunk down a bit. I managed to get all of the other pot in there as well. So at this stage, just let it have a rest for a few minutes until you can taste it. You might need to just kind of balance your seasoning a little bit more, maybe a bit more salt, a bit more sugar, and just kind of work it a little bit. Especially if you've had it in the oven and you've not been stirring it, because you might find a few of the tomatoes are kind of still a bit whole, so you can kind of just mix it up a little bit and you'll break them down and it'll just go a little bit more saucy. So yeah, I mean at this stage, just make sure it tastes good, and then boil the pasta. Make sure your pasta's al dente, bit of bite to it, bit of Parmesan cheese over the top, and then get it all cooled down, and then freeze it down in freezer bags or in Tupperware or whatever, what you don't need, and enjoy. This stage, just make sure it tastes good, and then boil the pasta. Make sure your pasta's al dente, bit of bite to it, bit of Parmesan cheese over the top, and then get it all cooled down, and then freeze it down in freezer bags or in Tupperware or whatever, what you don't need, and